Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. This is my first interview since grad school started in January, so 6 months off or so, 5 months off, and I'm finally back with my first interview. And what a way to come back than with Days of Our Lives' own Miranda Wilson. She plays the villainous Megan Hathaway. I love Megan Hathaway, and I'm so glad to have Miranda on the show. How you doing, Miranda?
I'm great. Thanks, Scotty. Lovely to be here with you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you on. The first question I have to ask you, I ask all my questions, all my guests this for the first time, just to give the viewers a little insight on yourself. So how did you get your start into being an actress?
So I have to adjust because I'm sitting too low in the camera. There we go. Hi, me again. How did I get my start in being an actress? I was an actress from a young age, meaning family dinners or friends round, or anytime I possibly could, I'd be getting up and doing something in front of the family or the guests or whatever. I knew from quite a young age that I wanted to be an actor. And so I started performing in plays when I was 10, 11, I think, 10 maybe. And the first play I did, I played the lead character who happened to be written as male. But because none of the boys in school wanted to do it, I got the part. So there we go. That's how I got my start. And I just kept doing plays throughout my childhood, throughout my high school years, etc. Went to school at University of California, Santa Barbara for my theater arts degree in fine arts. And then went to LA, and my first job was Days of Our Lives.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so speaking of Days of Our Lives, you had your first run in 1980s. If I'm not mistaken, it was 84, I want to say.
That's right, 84,
Yes.
85.
Yep. So how was your audition for that role, and what made you decide to come back all these years later?
Those are very different questions.
Yes.
I'll start with the audition was amazing. First of all, I had been in a play. So I was in a play in Santa Monica at the Morgan Whitson Theater. And in that play, one of my co-stars' sister saw the play numerous times, and we all hung out together afterwards, and we were all buddies. One day she rang me up and she said, one of my clients, she was a masseuse, one of my clients is the head writer for Days of Our Lives, and today she came in and she was really tense, and she was saying they were desperately trying to cast this character and they couldn't find anyone. So I asked her what kind of character it was, and she told me, and I said, oh my God, it sounds like you. So I told her about you, and she wants to talk to you. I'm like, great. I got off the phone thinking, well, there we go then. I've always thought this is how it was going to happen. My plan was I'll go to LA, I'll get into a play, someone will discover me. There you go. I'll be on TV. And that's exactly what happened. So I met Sherry Anderson, the head writer of Days of Our Lives at that time. It was, love at first sight, as it were. I did my audition, my camera audition, and yeah, it was all history after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So coming back to Days years later, like, not, a couple years, but decades later, how did that all come about? Like, who contacted you, and how did this just happen?
It was actually a work in progress for many years. So I had no contact with Days of Our Lives up until 2015, when they had the 50th anniversary party. And I got a message from one of the journalists who knew me from way back then, who was still a journalist today. And he had contacted me saying, are you coming to the 50th anniversary party? And I'm like, what do you mean? What 50th anniversary party? And he said, it's happening. And I know they sent you an invitation because I asked and they said yes. And so I contacted Days of Our Lives. I found out, I got the invitation, whatever. Then I found out from my agent here in England that they had received the invitation, but they didn't bother to give it to me because they figured, well, you're not going to bother going back because it's in LA. And I'm like, oh, crazy. So, of course, I said, yes, I'd love to come. I flew over. I went to the 50th anniversary party. It was enormous, great fun. And a lot of interviews, photographs, questions, people saying, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Is that what this means? Would you want to come back? And I just said, as I've always said, sure, I'll come back. I have no problem coming back, but they have to ask me to. It's not up to me. It's up to them. So that happened back in 2015. And that's when momentum started and fans started saying, are you coming back? We want you back. So I set up a Facebook page, something like Bring Megan Back to Days or something like that. And slowly, things moved along as they did. Not, I didn't have thousands of fans saying they wanted me back. I don't think a lot of people knew who I was, etc. It's fine. Didn't matter. It was fun. And one day I got a call a few years ago from the same journalist saying, contact so-and-so at Days of Our Lives. They're interested in talking to you about coming back. So I did and didn't hear back. And then I did again and didn't hear back. And I just thought, well, whatevs, they do or they don't. And then eventually in March of last year, my agents got in touch and said, so we've had this contact from Days of Our Lives. Are you interested? I'm like, heavens, yes. Why wouldn't I be? Let's go for it. What fun.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked out.
Awesome. That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that you're back. I wasn't born when you were having your first stint. I started watching Days in '95. I remember my mom would watch it. And I was sick the one time from school, or I could have been faking. I don't know. I was, as a kid, sometimes you fake being sick to get out of school. But something happened, and I came down from my room. My mom was watching Days, and I remember Marlena being possessed by the devil. And as a kid, you're fascinated by seeing something like that. And I think at the time she turned into a panther. And I'm thinking, wow, that's actually cool.
Okay.
So I watched the whole episode of my mom, and ever since I was addicted. My mom had a tape. My dad and my mom, they taped Days on VHS tapes every episode, and my mom would wait to watch it until I got home from school. And
Got it.
I've watched it ever since. And I mean, obviously I researched Days, and I knew of your character. I even made YouTube videos, and one character, I think one was on Days of Our Lives Deaths, and I think yours from the 80s when you got electrocuted was in there. But in Salem, nobody dies because obviously you're back.
Salem's pretty realistic.
Absolutely. So before we get into the juicy details of what just happened this week, I just want to ask, because I know a lot of people might be wondering, because Days does film 6 months in advance. So are you still filming Days? Because I know you are in the UK. No,
I'm not.
Okay.
I finished my filming schedule finished on the 23rd of December. So
okay.
just
so roughly you'll be airing probably in the summer will be your last time we'll see, I would say.
Yep.
Okay.
That's about right. Early July.
Early July. Sounds like a plan. So you mentioned before we started recording that we pushed this off because of something that happened. We just found out you have a son, Dimitri. Oh boy, a new DiMera, and it's great to have another male DiMera who is just as vindictive. So this is going to be something interesting. So what was it? I guess, did you always know you were going to have a son when you were being brought back, or how did that get sprung upon you?
No, well, I mean, originally in Beyond Salem 2, I came back to resurrect Bo, essentially.
Yeah.
And to take revenge on Hope. So in other words, we picked up where we left off back in 1985.
Yeah.
And then when they brought me back initially, everything that you've already seen play out was what I knew. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point, they said, can you stay a little longer? And I said, sure. How long? And so we'd like you to stay for another couple of months, or a month and a half, I think it was, because we want to do this storyline where you have a son from, the time in between. Like, oh, okay, sure. but
Mhm.
I didn't know who the son was. I hadn't
Mm.
seen Beyond Salem 1.
Okay.
And then when I found out that that's who it was going to be, I had to go back and watch Beyond Salem 1 so I could find out, oh, who is this son of mine? And how it all unfolded, I found out as the scripts came in. There was no, yeah, I wasn't asked for my opinion or what do you think of this or any ideas or none of that. It was just, I got a script. Okay, that's what I'm doing today. Okay, I got another script. Oh, that's how it's unfolding. And it just played out that way.
Nice, nice. So are we going to find out who the father is? And if you can't tell, that's fine, because I know you probably can't tell. But is there any? Are we going to know? Are they going to say?
I don't know.
I guess we'll have to find out.
I guess we'll have to find out.
That's gonna. I know a lot of people are mentioning that that they're thinking it could be Bo, but that's gonna be interesting too. Well, I guess we'll find out how this all fits in. Your character, oh, very vindictive, a true DiMera, gives
Mm,
Kristen a run for her money.
mm.
How do you get into the because obviously I'm interviewing you now and you're so sweet, you're amazing. How do you get into the mindset of playing such an evil character?
Called acting.
you
Um,
do you
you
do
know,
any
for me, it's the bottom line is this. I worked with Joe Moscola.
Mhm.
Okay. And for me, he's my template of DiMera.
Yeah.
None of the other DiMeras, in my opinion, have anything to do with what I consider a DiMera to be. Not because I don't think they're doing well or anything like that. It's just that Joe's my DiMera.
Right.
And because I spent time with him and worked with him, and I have the feeling of what he was doing in my bones,
Mhm.
that's what I do. I just kind of go, okay, how does it feel to be in that space with these words and with these scenes and with these, situations? And that's just sort of the platform that I go from.
Yeah.
I don't hold on to Joe the whole time. That's just the platform. That's just like, what was the essence of him and the character that you brought as Stefano DiMera? Okay, so that's what I grew up with. Let's say that's my background.
Yeah.
Not what I'm doing, it's my background. Fine. After that, it's like I've got all that history of Bo and Hope and everything that transpired in the 80s and how that played out for the character.
Mhm.
So that's a layer on top of my background. So it's another layer of background. And then how many years has transpired since then? And how much satisfaction or happiness has this character had in that time? Well, probably not a great deal
Mhm.
because that whole background was still carried forward through it all. That if she came back nearly 40 years later and tried to resurrect Bo, then that was something that was in the forefront of her consciousness the whole time.
Yeah.
You cannot have a rich and beautiful life if you're holding on to something that's ancient and dead.
Mhm.
So it was sort of a process of going, okay, that's part of it, that's part of it, that's part of it. I know all of that.
Mhm.
Now, let all of the knowledge go and just go into the feeling of it. What does that bring? And I just do that. Whenever I do any character, I just kind of go, can you just deliver that for me? Hey, universe, deliver this. These are the variables we're looking for. These are the qualities. These are the activities or whatever. This is the background. So now can you deliver that? And I just let it go and I kind of surrender to whatever comes. And there you go. That's my style.
Absolutely. And it works for you. You play the role, obviously amazing. Like you are a true genius at your craft, and your scenes with Kristen, like some of them are funny. Like, like the whole please thing, like what's the magic word? It just you both rolled well off each other.
Yeah. Right.
It
Yeah.
was it was so good.
It's beautiful. I mean, we really do play very well opposite each other. So
Yeah.
that would be lovely to see more of.
Absolutely, I agree. I know that I think it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. They did release some spoilers, and you're going to be getting out of jail, and you're going to be seeing EJ. So, without major spoilers that haven't been released, what can we expect? Are we going to get a power play, or is Megan gonna is she trying to, I guess, manipulate EJ?
I think the best way to answer that is if you look at how Megan has dealt with every situation to date. Megan's the sort of person who plans and plots and executes with a sort of sense of having it all under control, under her thumb. She owns the situation. So there's not going to be any overt mess, let's say. Megan's not messy. I think that's one of the very fine elements about Megan, is that she's not messy. She kind of holds it in, she observes what's going on, and then she strikes. So whatever's going to unfold with EJ or anyone else, what you're going to see is that.
Awesome. And that's a really clever and great way to tease the audience, to be like, just wait, something's going to happen. We're not going to tell you what it is, but be prepared, because something's going to happen. And I can't wait to see how Megan strikes like this. I think it's going to be a really interesting story. So something totally different that I was always curious about, and I forgot to ask Carson Boatman, I forgot to ask Teo when I interviewed them, so I'm going to ask you. The wine, is it really wine, or is it like grape juice? I've always been curious about that.
It's never alcohol.
That's kind of what I would figure, but
it's never alcohol. No,
that's kind of what I would think. But I was just curious, and I'm glad you.
I mean, I'm assuming that insurance would have something to say about that. But aside from that, it's just not responsible to be drinking alcohol on set while you're trying to film how many scenes, and more than one episode in a day, and it all together. No, it's not alcohol.
Absolutely. So how many roughly episodes have you filmed in a day when on set?
I think the most I've filmed in a day is parts of 3 different episodes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I know it's fast paced, because I know Teo even said that, like, it can get really, really fast paced, and you have to know all your lines right when you're there. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess the last question I got for you, do you have anything else in the works? Any projects, anything you would like to promote, social media, anything at all that you want to tell the listening and viewing audience? This is your time.
I don't have anything at the moment. I've done a recurring role on Halo, which is a series that airs on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And it's with Pablo Schreiber. Do you know the series Halo?
I haven't seen it. No, I don't have Paramount Plus. But I definitely I want to check it out now that you're in it.
So that's a streaming channel. Therefore, it's available. I was in season 1.
Okay.
I'm not in season 2, and they haven't gone past season 2, so I don't know if I'll be in season 3 or not, but there's that. I did an FBI International recently, but again, I think that just airs. I don't think it streams.
Okay.
And as for anything else, there's a couple of projects in the works, but they're not anything I can actually speak about. Yeah. I live in England, and I'm an American, and I'm an American female, and an American female of a certain age. So if we're honest, there aren't a number of parts for me to do. When there are, I get auditions, and recently I've been between me and one other person for about 3 different projects, and I didn't book. And there's 2 right now that look like it might happen. So that's all
Right.
I can just say
Awesome.
that. Pay attention to my social media. You'll find out.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll see you back on our screens after, after July sometime, on Days of Our Lives. It would be amazing to see you back and see what else Megan can bring to to Salem, because obviously she has a plan and she sticks with it. And I think it all wraps around Bo. And I think if Bo comes back to the show, I don't see I could see Megan not far behind.
Well, I don't know how likely it is that Peter would come back. I don't know what the variables are.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know that Megan needs Bo in order to be there. But
Right.
I do know is that the budget has been trimmed rather dramatically.
Right.
With the dramatic cuts in the budget, there's not a lot of space to bring back actors who do not live locally.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, I thank you so much, Miranda, for joining me. It's been so much fun. Been an honor to have you on. I'm so glad we can make this happen.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Abs-
inviting me, Scotty.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day. And enjoy, everybody watching this, enjoy Days. Watch it on Peacock. You'll see Miranda on as Megan up until early July, as she mentioned. And let's see what Megan has in store now that she's going to be released from jail. So let's check it
That's
out.
right.
All right. Thank you, Miranda.
Fireworks are coming.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.
And you. Cheers. Bye.